Don't lie. You know you're not stretching. Hi everyone, welcome back to another Scotty Karate video. Today I'm going to be going over my top 5 recommendations for shoulder stretching so you don't get injured during class on today's video. Now, this isn't a list like you might see in some other channels where they just Google these stretches and they've never done them before. These are actual stretches that I do every time I go to class and anytime I'm just wanting to loosen up and warm up my shoulders because they do get tight. They're a problem. You know, they got the big guy complex, right? Like you go to the gym, you work out, you get big and strong, but you don't stretch, so you're very limited. We got to fix that. We got to have our mobility in our shoulders and our arms. So that's what we're going over today. Now, before we start anything, we got to warm up. And there are a couple of things you need to do to warm up. Simple things. What we're going to do, if you'd like to follow along, is start with some circles. Now we're going to start with big circles going back. Now, you can do these in a couple different ways, but the main difference I'll say is point your hands down. Make this like a little, like it's swimmer, like you're doing a backstroke in a pool. And what this does is it tightens that up more and gets you a better stretch. Also lets you warm up those muscles nice and tight. Now let's reverse, go forward. Now, we want to make sure our shoulders are nice and warmed up before we start stretching because we don't want to cause injury. So, we've done those a few times. Do it 10 forward, 10 back would be great. Now we're going to do some circles going back and forward, starting big, then getting small, then going back out. So let me show you what I mean. So let's start going back again. Nice big circles. This time we're going to make an X in front of us. Make a big X. So you don't want to be crossing your chest. You want to cross your arms. You want to make sure you make as big circles as you can. We're going to do that, and then we're going to shorten them up a little bit. Make them a little bit smaller. A little bit smaller. As we go smaller, we want to go a little faster. Till we get to tiny little circles at the end. Do a few reps of those. Yeah, starting to really feel it. Now we're going to reverse. Go forward now. Make those tiny, fast circles. Get a little bigger. Now as you're going through this, your shoulders should be burning. If you're not, do a little more. You got to get your shoulders warmed up. So we're just going to keep going bigger and bigger. So we get that big X in front of us again. All right. Now, for fun, and if you want to show this to your friends to really blow their minds, we're going to do one forward, one back. So what that is you're going to do one arm going back, one arm going forward. This helps you with your dexterity and your mind-hand ratio so you know what each hand's doing. Helps you out in martial arts, but also a little bit of fun. So we're going to do that. We're just going to come through and start making our arm circle. One forward, one back. Like I said, we're going to do this maybe 10 times, and then reverse. Pretty simple once you get it. But until you get it, it's a real mind teaser. Trust me. You'll be sitting there going, okay. It's so funny to see new people do it. So master it, and then start stretching out with your friends. Just be like, yeah, let's do this. One forward, one back. And then just see their minds blow. Something fun. Now, we're going to do some dynamic stretching by going across. Just going to go across the chest. This is still part of our warm-up. This is a good stretch, but it's not as deep or as good as the other 5 I have for you. So this is just to help keep warming up and get a little bit of dynamic stretching in as well. And again, we're going to do about 10 reps of each. Once you've done that, we're ready for our first stretch. Alright, our first stretch is actually one of my favorites. It's just a static stretch across your chest, just like this. So you want to take your arm across your chest, take your hand and pull it. You want this to feel nice and tight through your shoulders and the back here. So if it's not, go on up a little bit. Now, the good thing about this stretch is that it can incorporate your martial arts as well. Don't be just sitting here just... No, when you stretch, make this a good outer block, right? Make this a fist. You don't have to tighten it up like, because that'll affect your shoulder and your stretch. But just keep it. Don't let it dangle. You know, don't be sitting here just Good outer block. Now, this is just good practice, gets you in emotions, and it's just fun, right? If we're going to be doing martial arts, we're going to be stretching for martial arts, let's make our stretches part of martial arts. Yeah. So like I said, we'll do that on each side around 10 to 15 seconds. You want to hold it and make sure that gets nice and loose. Moving on to our next one. All right. Our next one, we're going to have a wall, a pole, or a friend. So grab them. Bring them on over. What we're going to do is take our hand, put it on the wall. And what we're going to do is slowly turn our torso away from the wall. And you'll feel that start to burn and pull in your shoulder, maybe even in your forearm, depending if this is less flexible than your shoulder. So you'll just keep pushing, pushing, and pushing. And eventually you'll get to where it's nice. Now remember, like on all stretches, you will feel discomfort. And if you don't, you're probably not going far enough. Now, discomfort is different than pain. You should not be feeling pain during this. If you do, you're doing it wrong. So make sure you do not feel pain. If it gets to the point where you have to, you're like going to cry, way too hard, you're probably causing damage. Back it off. Like I said, discomfort. You're going to be like, that's not great. I don't really love that. But once you start working out, especially when you do this at the end of a set, oh man, these feel amazing. So that's all you have to do for this one. Simply put your hand on a wall, on a pole, a friend, and turn. Alright, our next stretch up is going to still need a wall, a pole, or your friend. We just need something solid that we can put our body against, that we can start stretching. Now, to do this, all we're going to do is take our hand and put it on the small of our back, palm out. So just like that. Now, what we're going to do is put that palm against the wall or pole, and we're going to start to roll our body away or towards the shoulder we're trying to stretch. And you'll get to where you're rolling it and you're like, oh, this is not bad. And all of a sudden, it'll tighten up really fast. Make sure to take this very slow. Don't just get into it and rip. Take it, roll slow. And you'll get to where it builds up that tension really fast on that shoulder. Now, once you get there, like I said, moderate pressure, moderate discomfort, not pain. So if it's painful, back it off. Go, okay, that's a little too much. That's a good stretch. Make sure it's a good stretch where you are, and this is the beauty of using an object, because you're able to take and use it as a force magnifier. But be careful, it does magnify, which means it is very easy to overdo it. Be safe. Alright, moving on to the next one. We're still using our wall or friend, and we're going to do a very similar thing. We're going to put our hand behind our back, palm out. And instead of putting our back against the wall, we're now going to put our arm and shoulder against the wall. It's the very same thing, except for going the opposite direction. So we're going to put our chest and shoulder up against the wall, and then we're going to start to roll out. You'll get to where it's a good, nice, tight stretch, and then that's where you stop. Remember, you don't want to overexert it, because this does amplify it. Now, like all the stretches, you're going to hold for a good 10 to 15 seconds. That way, you are getting a good stretch, and it loosens up. All stretches can be done 3 times. So this little set for our shoulders can take a while if you're doing all of them 3 times. Be patient. Understand that you're going to have to dedicate 5-10 minutes to this, not just a couple seconds before class. So if you know you're going to do a lot of heavy shoulder work that day, you might take a few minutes before class to pre-stretch. Even if they stretch during class, do a little more pre-stretch. Get that little prep in there. Because if you know you're going to do a lot of weapon work, a lot of just punching drills, whatever, you need your shoulders and your arms nice and loose. Otherwise, you can cause injuries. So take the extra time. Alright, the last one we're going to go over today isn't necessarily a shoulder stretch as it is a kind of tricep, but it does help with the shoulder as well. And that's simply just taking your shoulder or your arm, putting it behind your shoulder, touch down your back as far as you can, take your other arm and you're going to press. And all you're doing is pulling that elbow back. Yet again, go till it starts to be moderate pressure, moderate pain, and hold it. Or discomfort, pardon me. If it gets painful, stop. Hold for a good 10 to 15 seconds, then release. Now remember, just like on all stretches, if you aren't already doing this, please do so. Make sure you release the stretch slowly. It can cause more pain and damage if you just rip it down. Or if you're, got a big, long stretch, and as you let go, just go, all right, I'm done. It can cause a lot of pain and discomfort, so stop that. Now, I'm going to take a last one, pull it up, grab, and pull back. Now, if you aren't very flexible, that's okay too. You can just put it back here, and then use your shoulder muscles to pull back. Now, if you are flexible enough to get a little pressure and push on it, that's better for your shoulder, and you get more leverage. Yet again, be careful because it does crank up fast. But you get a little more stretch, a little bit more flexibility. And that's it. That's all 5 for today. Now, hopefully your shoulders are feeling nice and good, nice and warmed up and loose. If they're not, go through another round. It's real simple, real easy to do. You can do almost anywhere. Even if you're at home, right before you go train, wherever. It's always good to be more flexible and get some stretches in every single day. If you haven't been, like I'm sure you haven't, make sure you start. Stretching is a big part of your day, even if it feels like the not fun stuff. This is very important, because if you go in and you decide to go hit a bag, kick a bag, whatever, and you're not properly warmed up, you can actually tear some muscles, pull, or cause strains. Be very careful. Stay limber. And, as always, if you like the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell in the corner so you know when my videos are posted each week. As always, the more you train, easier the fight.